Good morning, everyone. It's me, Ursula. Welcome to my studio. Welcome to this live stream session. I do these every Monday, 11 a.m. So I hope you join me in the future, watch the recording. And yeah, there's links, all the links that I share during this session, I will include below. So you can always go down there to find something. And yeah, get your paints ready. Today we are going to be painting a person holding a pet. So I'm going to just get my materials ready. I'm going to get a palette of paints going. I'm going to work from some printed images today. So you might want to do the same. You might want to print out an image today. I'm going to show a little trick. And have some charcoals, markers. We'll start off with some drawing today, and then we'll get into a painting. So we'll just wait a couple more minutes to see who else shows up. And I will just start loading up my palette. I hope everyone's doing great today. It's a gorgeous sunny day here in North Carolina. And I've been looking forward to this. This is subject matter that is near and dear to me. We'll talk about using pets or animals as symbols in our painting, also as a narrative element, or simply just decorative, or to just show ownership or love. So there's a lot of reasons why you would paint a person holding a pet. So I'm just going to, I'm giving myself titanium white, Naples yellow, cadmium yellow medium, alizarin crimson. Just going to give myself all the colors. I'm not really sure where the painting's going to go today, so we'll just have fun exploring that. I also want to show some examples of and talk about what's called primitive folk art painting. Because in researching for this video, I found some really great portraits by some American artists that are just, they're just really wonderful, and they're considered folk art painting. So I did a little dive into that, and I want to talk about that a little bit today as well. So if you're just joining, it's 11 a.m. I hope everyone's doing well this morning. And thanks for joining me to kick off your week with a little painting. All right, so I want to share some images here. When I was researching this, I mean, I knew that there was a lot of portraits of people holding pets, but there's different reasons why people have been painted this way. I have a link in the comments or in the description below to a really fun article about that shows some historical paintings of people with pets, and I'll just include that there. I want to share this painting that, who is it? Da Vinci, right? Yes. Leonardo da Vinci did, called Lady with an Ermine. And I actually had to look up how to pronounce that and what it is. An ermine is a weasel, or like in the mink family. And this article about this Wikipedia entry about this painting and specifically that animal, talks about how it is a symbolic creature and kind of a mythical creature, because he didn't really draw it the way, like the size of it isn't how it would be in real life, and it appears to be a composite of several animals. In its winter coat, the ermine is a traditional symbol of purity and moderation, as it was believed it would face death rather than soil its white coat. But there's other reasons why he included it. I mean, if you read about this painting, and particularly about the subject of this painting, this woman, it's a very it's a pretty intense story if you read through the if you read through it. You know, this girl was basically sold at a young age to be someone's mistress. Okay, I don't want to get into it too much, but I'll let you read that yourself. But there's symbolic reasons why this animal was included. It's believed she was pregnant at the time that the portrait was made, et cetera, et cetera. So some of these things can be very loaded. I want to look at this particular drawing, and hopefully this will come up. This is a painting by an American painter I just found out about today. He was considered a folk artist. I hope that works for you all. His name is Ermine Phillips, and I will include a link to him or about him. And he was a folk artist living in like the Northeast, and he would travel from town to town, and he would do these portraits of people. And it's thought that he's done over 800 paintings, but he only signed a few of the paintings. So there's a lot of paintings that it's believed that he did, but it's not, they're not signed. But this is probably the first image I shared there, girl in red dress with cat. That is probably like his most famous painting. And this is the style of portraiture I'm talking about, that folk art painting style where the subjects appear very stiff. And there's almost like a simplification to them. I think it's called primitive folk art sometimes. I mean, folk art is a huge category to unpack, but in terms of folk painting, it's generally attributed to like not having like schooling in the medium of paint, and being self-taught. So I found all these like lovely little paintings of people holding animals, and I just love, one of the things I love about the subject is just the way the arms cross and interact with the animal itself. And I thought we could take the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes or so and just look at this particular painting. So if you could click on that image, I thought we would try a drawing exercise based on this picture. So if you can get to that, and let me know if you're not able to get to it. But if you can get to that, I thought, let's try something different. Let's get a piece of paper, a sketch pad, and you could use a marker or a pen, pencil, whatever drawing tool you want. But I thought the shape of that red dress is so compelling. I thought, let's try to do a drawing exercise where we just draw the shape of the red dress, nothing else. So you're just drawing that shape. And we'll just take a couple minutes to do that, just to train our eye to see these wonderful shapes that can emerge from this type of subject matter. So don't draw anything else. Just draw the red parts of this drawing. And don't worry about it being perfect. But sometimes drawing negative shapes like this, rather than drawing the cat, we're drawing around the cat. This can be a useful just device to get you to look at something a little bit differently. So I do actually have two separate shapes here. I'm going to just grab a little red paint and fill them in so I can see it a little better. And you could do this or not. But I thought we would just try a quick study of this particular painting in a roundabout way. So I'm just going to fill that shape in. And I know it's not going to be perfect. Often children were painted with pets as just a symbol of purity or innocence. There's a few really lovely paintings that Renoir did of girls with cats. So, hi Charlotte, good morning. Okay, sorry, I didn't have the camera focused on that. So just drawing the negative shapes of that picture I shared, the girl in the red dress, and then let's just go ahead and fill in. Let's do the black background. You might just take a whatever dark color. You could use black. You can mix some dark pigments together. We'll just do this really loosely, but we're kind of just trying to approach this a little different. Now, I didn't leave enough room at the top for the head here, so I'm going to make it extra small. We're just painting the black, the background space now, and maybe that little triangle that you see between, like there in the sleeve area. But again, like I said, this is when you're painting someone holding a pet, there's just wonderful things that happen in the crisscrossing of the arms and the pet itself, which we'll get to in a minute. I'm going to use a really big brush. Just paint around all this. Okay. These shapes, these negative shapes, are just so important um, to the painting. Oops, I kind of don't have room for the legs. And again, we're not going for a perfect likeness, but just to get us to look at our pictures a little bit differently. Because sometimes when people are doing portraits, they're just so fixated on creating a likeness. And I just want you to also consider other elements of the painting. Papers. All right. Check in and see how everyone's doing. And then go ahead and do the cat. The face, you don't have to get too into detail. Again, just a little study here. But I'm going to take like a dark color now and try to get the shape of this cat a little bit. There's a lot of really hilarious depictions of animals, particularly in medieval art, like animals with human faces. Okay, so look at the arm here as well, and the shape of the arm. And don't try to get all those little fingers, just try to get the basic shape of that hand and that arm. And honestly, if you want to use a marker or a drawing tool, you can turn this into a mixed media study. I'm going to do this side too. Sometimes when I'm doing hands, I just imagine the fingers to be a part of a big mitten. Okay, I actually did this wrong. So my hand's a little bit elongated here. And then I'll draw in the shape of the cat. There's just something so dear to me how gently the animal is placed into her arms in this painting. And again, doesn't have to be perfect. Kind of like how bizarre this is. Again, just to clarify for anyone that came in late, I know that the proportions are all funky here. Kind of like it. So hopefully you're allowing yours to be funky too. There's something so relaxing about painting another painting. I don't often do those kind of exercises, but it is really nice that, like, when another person has made all the decisions, so you don't have to make any decisions. You can just like follow what they're doing and not, you know. So it's like the benefit of it and kind of the downside of it. If you copy too many paintings, I want also that you get confident in making your own decisions on how to render something. But it is nice to reproduce a painting just to try to get in the head of the artist a little bit. So if you just get to this stage in the game, excellent. This is fine. Let's move on to another study, and then we're going to do an actual painting. So I have, if you got an email from me, I included a couple of pictures that I'm going to work from. This is from a training video on how to properly hold an animal. And I just thought that dog was so adorable. So if anyone, what I did was I took a screen grab from this training video. I will include the video. If you don't know how to properly hold a dog, it's good to watch. I got this from there. I just did a screen grab. And I'll do that frequently with things. I'll just get a screen grab from a video. And this is a dear friend of mine. What I really love about this is the contrast here with her arms and the cat. So I want to work on this picture first. Hopefully you have something like this. I'm not able to really share it here through a link. But if you can find something with the arms crisscrossing like that, we'll just do a little study of that, like a gestural study. And then we're going to get on to our final painting. I think this is kind of fun. I might try this approach more often, actually. Okay, so a gestural study, just to get the movement of the arms here. So I'm going to use, again, just a marker so you can see it. And I'm going to, again, try to draw these shapes and not the cat, just to see what happens. And I'll do it in a very loose and gestural way. So if you have these kind of graphic forms, like the way her arm, we don't see her t-shirt or the cat. The cat and the t-shirt kind of blend into one thing here. Often when I'm painting someone holding anything, whether it's a cat or a child, or also if people have their arms around each other, anything like that, instead of thinking about it as two separate forms, I think about it as one form. So that's another thing when you're painting this. Don't think like, oh, I got to do the human and then I got to do the animal. I like to think of them as the same beast. It's all one form. Okay, so that might be her arms, the crisscross of her arms. And then I'll come in here and draw the cat. And I think today, like to get inspiration from those folk artists, you can make your painting, you can stylize your painting today when you're working. Don't worry about making everything so perfect. See, I can barely even see the bottom of the cat. One of the features in a lot of those folk paintings, those portraits that I shared earlier, is that the artist would go in and do a lot of detail on things like fur or clothing details, which for some figurative painting, that's not necessarily the emphasis, but in folk painting, it often is. So again, I'm going to just do a very loose, quick painting of this now. I'm going to take some burnt umber, cadmium red, cadmium yellow, and white. And that's going to be the jumping off point for the arms, painting in the arms. And we're just enjoying those interlocking shapes of the arms and the animal. And hopefully that makes this a little bit easier to approach. So when you're doing a face that's this small, I just try to get the shadows of the face. And she is smiling in this. I'm going to come in here and do the t-shirt. Probably use a slightly different color for the actual kitty cat. So it's that crisscrossing gesture of the arms that I'm really gravitate to in this subject matter. Okay. Okay. And I'm just going to do a very quick rendering of the face. Okay. How's everyone doing? I could just keep exploring this all day here. So yeah, feel free to just simplify your forms. Don't worry about making everything really perfect with this particular study. And you can always come back to these. Things you might look at, like for this, there's a cute shadow that the cat is casting onto her arm. Maybe getting some of the fur of the cat, but for the most part, in this situation, it's kind of just this black, this black form. Okay. I just want to keep painting this. And you might refer to the video from last week, Painting a Smile. She's looking like she's grimacing a little. Okay, her face is really funny, but just a simple study like that is great. And now I'm gonna switch to this picture, and I'm gonna work on a smaller canvas. This is actually wood, a wood panel. And I'm gonna show you a little trick that's fun to try. You probably know it already, but if not, what you're gonna do, you're gonna have your printout, and this is something, you're not, hopefully this isn't precious to you. Don't work on an original photograph or anything like that. Don't work on like a expensive G-clay print. This should just be like a low-res picture that you printed off on your home printer, or something like that. Like maybe the ink is running out, mine has lines in it. So what you're gonna do, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna end up essentially destroying this. But you wanna put it face down, and you're gonna take charcoal. I'm just worried that I'm gonna get this wet. You're gonna go like that, and you're gonna take some charcoal. Just a soft piece of vine charcoal is fine. If you don't have this, you could use graphite pencil, and you're just gonna put it on the back side of your image. And get a nice thick layer of that on there. And I'm just putting it where I know the actual image is. I'm not going to bother with these spaces here. Okay. And then I'm going to take a piece of tape, and I'm going to tape it with roughly where I want it to go on my canvas. I mean, not roughly, I'm going to tape it exactly where I want it to go. So place that down and put the tape on it. And then you will take a pencil or a pen, something with a nice point on it, and you are going to trace your picture onto the canvas. Now, one of the things that happened for me with this particular image that I got from the video is that she had a really cute smile that I kind of liked better than this expression, but I liked that I could see the whole dog. So this is the image I ended up using. But I do have another picture of her smiling that, I could maybe refer to that. I think for now I'll just leave it like it is. But you can I could maybe do two separate, have two separate images on hand for reference. And you might also outline where you see cheeks or eyebrows, maybe fill in some shapes. Everyone has a different tracing style. And I don't always love this method. I think sometimes it's really nice to see like the quirkiness of a drawing when you just do the actual drawing. But just thought this would be a good technique to share. You might use. Just get the main shapes. In this one, her arms aren't crisscrossed around the creature, but I still really like the way her fingers are spread apart. And, you know, the shapes from there. So that's why I chose this also. I mean, really for this picture, it's just completely about how hilarious the dog is to me and how cute. And you could outline if you see any big shadows or anything, you could outline that as well. And so you have it taped, you can just check and make sure. You can see that on there. You want to check and make sure you have everything outlined. So notice that I didn't get the very bottom of this because I don't have charcoal on there. Okay. See, I think even with the outline, it looks hilarious. Like it doesn't look real. It doesn't look realistic necessarily. Probably because my outlining style isn't very precise. Okay. And then I will just put that right there so you can see it. And then from here, I'm gonna begin the painting. And there's all different ways you could approach this. I think what I'm gonna do is start with just a small brush, a little bit of red paint, maybe even some glazing medium. And I'm going to brush over those lines and get them adhered to the canvas. Look a little closer. So you can see that a little better. All right. And I'm actually going to use a little bit of brown for the dog. I'm just going to start filling in these shapes. Now, since I'm painting on wood, it's a lot smoother. It behaves a lot differently than painting on paper or painting on canvas. So at this point, I'm not painting my darkest color yet, and I'm not painting my lightest color. I'm just blocking in where things are going to go. I think I'm going to use a different color for her shirt. I'm going to use a green so I can see it a little better. You know, maybe I'll even put a print or something on her shirt when I'm done here. You see a little bit of her shirt here at the top. Okay. There's a little bit of a shadow here in her arm. Paint that in. Yeah, just kind of going around the whole painting and just blocking everything in. And I'll switch to the smaller brush for her face. So yeah, in some ways it's easier to just outline, your character and then fill in the shapes, but it's also in a lot of ways it's harder too. Um, yeah, it's not a guarantee that it's going to be easier because sometimes what happens is people get too stuck on following the drawing, and then their paintings are kind of like too inhibited. So use the drawing as like a jumping off point for yourself, but also have fun with the process here. Right, put in her hair. I just see a small shadow underneath the nose and here in the mouth, underneath the bottom lip, under the chin, just those little details. I'm going to use the corner of my brush. I have just a tiniest little bit of Naples yellow on the corner of my brush to get the whites of the eyes in there. Now they're really popping out. So rather than taking the eyes down right now, I'm going to just add more highlights to. I'm seeing like a bunch of highlights on one side of her face. So I'm going to just go ahead and add those here before I try to tone down the eyes. I'm going to try to make the eyes fit into the portrait. And this is why I always recommend to develop everything together. I kind of like how funky the eyes look like that. I'm going to leave the face alone for a minute and move into something else. Don't like struggle over something, trying to make it right. Sometimes you got to just let the paint set up, let the paint dry. It looks different sometimes once the paint is dried. So just wait for that to happen, and go into a different part of the painting. But I have done commissions for people, like portraits, family portraits, and painting a face that size, I think, is one of the hardest things. And I have spent like hours struggling over that scale of a portrait. Because you need to decide, are you going to do a lot of detail, or are you going to do it a little bit looser? So now, as I'm putting in darker color for the dog, the hands are popping out a little bit more. I just think it's so adorable how cooperative this dog is in the video. It's just like, doesn't care. I know not all beasts are that well behaved when you try to pick them up, especially dogs. I learned a lot about it. I honestly I've never had a dog. I love them. I think they're adorable, but I've never had one. And I've certainly wouldn't try to pick one up. The video recommended to be cautious when you're picking up a dog. Okay. So you can see now, as I'm getting a little darker, the hands are popping out. So it's always this process of going in darker, going in lighter, going back and forth. She's standing in front of a blank background. So I could also choose, like, what do I want to put back here? Maybe I could do some mixed media and do like a collage of flowers or something back there. This space sometimes is the most fun to me to develop in a painting. Or you could just do a flat color. Get the dog's eye there a little bit. So because I'm too lazy to switch out brushes a lot, what I'm ending up doing is I have a paper towel in my hand, and I'll paint with light paint, and then I wipe off the brush. Then I dip it into the dark paint. So it's important to keep a paper towel handy, because I don't want to be putting my brush down and picking up a new brush all the time. I'm going to get into the highlights in the dog's fur a little bit here. I'm getting a good shadow color. I mean, you could outline the arm so it pops out, but you can also think about just making it a little bit darker there, like where there's a shadow cast when the arm is up against the creature. I mean, I'm telling you, like animal videos, all things animal that are adorable are what is getting me through this quarantine and the last few months. I mean, I can't get enough of just like the adorable animal videos. And this dog is so hilarious to me. I had a friend who had a dog like this. It's just so sweet. Her dog didn't have eyes. Okay. So I hope you're seeing how I'm like going back and forth. Let's see, let's try to, I'll bring this in a little closer. I'm not quite there yet, but I started putting in the pink of the nose. I need to decide what I want to do with the background. I'm feeling like I just want to have a flat color, and for some reason I'm feeling like a sky blue, just a flat sky blue color. I'm going to go ahead and mix something just to see what it's going to look like. I'm going to take my titanium white and my Naples yellow and ultramarine blue. Let's just see what happens here when I mix these colors together. It's like it's kind of a neutral gray blue. I might want it to be a little brighter than that. So I think I'm going to use my phthalo blue because that gives you more of a punchy blue. Thanks, Ursula. Adorable dog videos have got to be more fun than smiling soft portraits. Well, I like a smiling soft portrait. But yeah, my favorite, I love the videos where like a pig and a bird are hanging out, or like, I can't get enough, or like when a dog and a cat are just like best friends. I swear it's like the cutest thing. So you can see how this blue is a little bit punchier. It's because I use phthalo blue, which is a brighter blue, often used for like turquoise colors. So I kind of just like that. But I don't know. I might go ahead and put a piece of tissue paper or something like with a pattern on this to break this up, or maybe put a pattern in her shirt. Those are all the decisions that you get to make as the painter, as the artist. Hi, Amanda. Thanks for joining today. Okay. Yeah, I only received a couple of portraits, very awesome smiling self-portraits that I will be posting eventually on my blog when I get to it. I know it's a difficult, it's difficult subject matter, but okay. Yeah, just like this kind of neutral blue back here for now. And I mean, really working on wood, if you haven't done it yet, if you haven't worked on a wood panel, it is just such a lovely surface to paint on. It's making me really want to go out and purchase a bunch of these panels because it is a nice surface. It's really easy to blend. you want like a softer look. Kind of like this right now, there's sort of this like in kind of like indifference here to the painting. It's not necessarily like, I can make it a lot brighter and a lot punchier and more fun patterns, or kind of leave it sort of subdued like this. All right. And then from here, I would go back in. I'm going to work on some of the hand stuff. I'm going to mix like a purpley red and try to get in between here some of these fingers and some of the details. My pencil marks covered up a lot of the details in the hands, unfortunately, so I might go back and consult the original photo for these details. Right. Well, send me your pictures, please, whatever it is you do. I love seeing what everyone does. I do have a collection growing, and I will be posting everyone's work eventually. And I'll be sending out a newsletter soon. If you want to get on that, if you're not yet subscribed to my newsletter, there's a link below in the video description. So this has been fun. I went a little over time. I hope this gives you a good jumping off point. And thank you everyone for playing along today. It was really nice to hear from you. And yeah, send me your pictures, send me your stories. If there's like a particular animal that you are painting today that has significance to your life, I'd love to know about it. And I will post the final painting. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see. I might do, like I said, I might do like a tissue paper in the background here. But anyway, thanks everyone. This was super fun, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Give a thumbs up if you haven't yet. That always like warms my heart. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next week. Bye.